Be sure to check out my store for the stuff I use and templates at a low cost, and get my everything pack so you can have everything in my store at a reduced cost, less than $20 if you tweet it out. What's up guys, Qehzy here bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this clean 3D header or banner in Cinema 4D and Photoshop. It's a pretty straightforward header and banner, shouldn't take too long, but I think it looks really good, really clean. Kind of went with a Plexus theme then in Photoshop. But you guys can kind of do your own thing when you get to that stage, but let's just hop right into it. So first things first, we got to go to Cinema 4D and set up the render. So the render is relatively simple. You can see it's just text, nothing really going on. Let me hide it and I'll show you how to set this up. We want to go MoGraph Mo Text, and we want to go, we want to align that middle, and we want to put our text in there. And the font I'm going to be using is called DAX. And by the way, I'm using my own Lightroom and materials, which are both in my store if you're interested in checking those out. Where is this font at? Oh, there it is, DAX. And then you want to head to caps, fillet cap, 1 radius each. That's sort of my standard setup. And then the depth, I forgot, is 75. So that's basically the text. If you have my materials pack, I used my simple materials here, so materials V5, it's in the section normal, and I just used this red pink color, and then I duplicated it, I copied it and pasted it really, and then I just changed the color to white, so we have a white and red material. So for this one I'm going to make it white, and then I'm going to duplicate it and make it red. The red text is not going to change at all, but this white one is, so we want to select the white one, go to MoGraph Effector Random, and we just want to play around with the transform here. So just go to parameter, can't say it. I always struggle to say that for some reason, but we want to go low digits for the position, so maybe 5, and then Z like 3, I guess. You could do a little more, a little less, just depends what kind of look you're going for. You can get different results by doing different things, and it all depends on what your text says. And then we want to change the rotation, so I go a little negative, and then a little positive. And let me go a little more negative here. Actually, I don't know. Let's just play around with this. Let's see what we can get. And that's pretty interesting. I think I like that. That's pretty cool. You can see how we get like half white, half red text going on, and it's really cool. It's like interesting, and it's really easy to do. But once you like kind of figure out something you think looks pretty cool, you can go ahead, select the random effector and the text. So these 3 things, copy and paste them. I'm gonna hop out of my camera here for a second and change my angle and just scale everything back, or move everything back rather, and move it down slightly, and that's pretty cool. And if we go to that random effector, we can change some of this stuff even more, so maybe decrease that a little bit, and maybe increase, actually, yeah, increase. Alright, yeah, just make the random effector a little bit different, and then we have something like this. Hopefully this grid isn't in the way, but if I render this real fast, you can see we have just like a real clean text sort of setup, but it's like slightly distorted, half white, half red, but it looks really interesting. It's really simple. So once you have that somewhere you like it, you can just go ahead to your save, and I'm just going to put a 2 at the end of this, and actually forgot the L on here, but and you just want to go ahead and render it out. And I'm just going to hop over into Photoshop real quick, and we'll get going from there. Alright, so here we are in Photoshop, and this is obviously what we're going to be creating. So you want to set up your header, header or banner, whatever document you're going to be using. In this case, I'm using the Twitter header template. You just want to get a background, and then go ahead and find your text. Let me find mine real quick. I'm using the one from the original, not the one I just created, by the way, in case you're confused. You want to just drag it so it fits in the middle nicely, like something like that looks pretty good. You can go ahead, right click and rasterize it, and cool. Now we want to start off with the background first and set that up. So on the background, let's just double click on it, go to color overlay, make sure it's normal, 100% opacity, go to your color, And I use this reddish pink color, so I used a similar color as the background, and I have it written down here. It's 7A0B2D. Okay, and that's what I'm going to be using as the background. I'm just going to go ahead, right click, rasterize layer style, so I don't even have to worry about it for now. And and the next thing we want to do is kind of create the three-dimensional wall effect sort of deal. I don't know really what to call it, but you want to create a new layer. Go to the rectangle marquee tool, and just we're just going to go right in the middle, or close towards the middle. You just want to give yourself enough room. You don't want to be too close to the bottom or top. And you want to get a brush tool, or get the brush tool, and either have black or white selected, doesn't matter yet. Bump up the brush size. I'm going to about actually maybe a little lower, like 800, and just barely have the brush crossing the selection, and just go across like so. So you can see there's just a little bit of black going on in this square, and then we can press Command D to deselect. So this is kind of what we have, and now we can adjust it. So I'll move it down a bit, maybe like right there, and we can set that to overlay and about 25%. And cool, we start to have like a 3D wall sort of effect. And if we duplicate it, so Command J and then Command I to inverse it, we can then Command T to transform, right click, flip vertical, press enter, and just move this up and just have them barely touch like so. Boom. So now you can kind of see the 3D wall effect, sort of, whatever you want to call it. And now we have these two layers. We can just either put them in a group or merge them. I think I'm just going to merge them, and you have to set them back to overlay. And now we can adjust them together. So I think right there, that position's about, like, that's probably the best place to put it. Next thing we want to do is create a new layer. Make sure you have black as the background color, and press Command Delete to fill it in. And then we want to go to Filter, Render, actually Filter Noise, Add Noise, sorry. And you want to have the amount at 30% Gaussian, and yeah, so just about this works. And you want to set that to overlay and about 10 or 15%. I think I'm gonna go about 15. If it's a little too dark or you don't like it, you can always go to Image Adjustments, Levels, and kind of play with this until like you get something you like. The preview will be weird. You can see everything disappear, but if I click OK, it kind of comes back, and I think that looks slightly better. Might be too much. Maybe I drop this down to 10%, but that gives the whole background a little bit of texture that kind of matches the slight texture that is on our text. I don't know if you noticed that before, but at least the materials for my pack have a slight texture. So if you want to match that, you can do that step. If not, you can go ahead and skip it. I'm just going to press enter on that opacity for now. But now let's go to the text and kind of add some stuff to that. So the text itself, let's double click on and go to Gradient Overlay. Let's make the angle 90. And to see it, let's bump this up. Okay, so it's right. It's black on the bottom, white at the top, which is what we want. Overlay, black to white. And let's just adjust the opacity so it's not too much. Maybe somewhere like 50%, somewhere in the middle like that. That's looking pretty good. What did I just click? Whatever. Let's go back to 50. Alright, I don't know what the heck I was just clicking there. Did that mess everything up? I don't know, but you guys get the gist. Hopefully that didn't. It seems way too powerful now. Alright, okay, there we go. And once you do that, just click OK. We can hide or minimize that, and then Command J to duplicate it. And I like to bring the copy down, and then we're going to Command T to transform. Bump up the size pretty big so it takes up the whole width at least. Press enter, and then we're going to bump this opacity down to like 5, something really small. And maybe bring this down a little bit. That looks pretty alright, I think. Now duplicate the main text again, and then this time we're going to right click rasterize layer style, because we don't need the gradient, it won't matter, but we want to go to Command U and then bring the lightness all the way down. Press Command T to transform. Grab the top anchor point and pull it down and make it like like a smaller width than the actual text, so something like this is pretty good. And then we just want to adjust the placement of this. This is going to be a shadow, so I think that's pretty good. And if we go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, we can blur this up. So about 36 pixels looks pretty good. Set that, or click OK on that, and then just decrease the opacity to something smaller, maybe like 20%, somewhere in that range. I'm going to go with like 24. And you can also then either use a layer mask or the eraser tool. I'm going to use a layer mask, so create a layer mask on that. Get your brush tool, get a black, make it smaller, and then you can kind of just buff out the top part like that, so it kind of fades away. If you don't like that, you can leave it as is. It's up to you. But yeah, that's the shadow. Now we want to add a little bit of glow to the text, kind of make it look a little bit better. So let's create a new layer, have the brush tool, and grab a color. This time we're just going to select the pinkish red that we have on our text. So click somewhere in the middle, because we have that gradient on our text, so the top will be a little brighter and the middle will be more of the color we want. So click somewhere in the middle of a letter, and then let's increase the brush size and click around where there is red on the text. So for me, it's like a lot of the top portions of the letters and the bottom is more white. So something like that. Click around. You can add it into spots like in between the text, like maybe I go in here, make it a little more interesting. But once you have it distributed how you want to set that layer to screen, and then just decrease the opacity a little bit so it's not overwhelming. So I guess like 40% will work. That looks pretty sweet. Text is really popping. The whole thing looks pretty good. But now let's go ahead and start adding some detail. So let's create a new layer, and let's just get a white, and we want to use the brush again. And these are brushes that I have linked in my last 2 tutorials as of recording this. I don't know, probably there's one in between here, but I'll have a download to all these brushes in the description, and they include these Plexus brushes down here. You can see there's a couple variations of them, and you just want to go ahead, download that pack, install the brushes, and then go ahead and we're going to use them to click around and kind of create a cool effect on this text. So I selected one, and I'm just going to click on top of the text somewhere, so that's a pretty good spot. Let's go ahead and select another version. Let's select this one, and we'll go somewhere in the middle right area. So somewhere, that's pretty good. And then we want to go ahead and get the eraser tool. We'll zoom in here, and what I did was erase all the bits that went over the red portion of the text and kind of made it like fade out. So I'll show you that here. Grab the eraser tool, kind of fade it out from where it's red, like so. I also kind of left it in the bits, like it was only the front facing bits I erased it. So any side bits, like right here or something, I kind of left alone. So let's do it to this one as well. There we go, and then let's go here to the M. Perfect, there we go. That's sort of the look we're getting at. You can see it kind of looks like it's inside the text, a part of it. Looks pretty cool. Goes over some of the white parts though, but it's hard to see the brush over the white parts. That's why it doesn't really matter, but it still looks nice. Let's go over here to the other side, do the same thing. And you can erase more or less than I am. It's up to you guys, obviously. This is just how I did it. You guys can go ahead and take creative liberties and do whatever the heck you want. I think that's pretty cool. I'm actually gonna erase just a... no, that's pretty fine. Let's go zoom out here, and that's sort of what we're dealing with. You can see that the Plexus kind of brush blends in with the text. It looks like it's a part of it. This is something we could do in Cinema 4D, but I like the Photoshop look a lot better. But yeah, now let's go ahead and add stuff around everything to finally top this off. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new layer, and we want to get the brush tool again. This time we just want a normal soft brush. We'll be coming back to that Plexus brush in a bit. So let's grab a soft brush, make sure you have black selected, increase the brush size, and I'm going to have to zoom out here a little bit because we're going to darken up the sides. So let's just go boom, boom, or you can do one side and copy and paste it over. something like that real quick works, and then just decrease the opacity, and that kind of just fades out the sides a little bit and makes the focal point, the center where the text is, a little more, kind of just drives that idea home. And if we create a new layer, we want to go ahead and grab white, grab the brush tool again, and this time I'm going to make it slightly smaller, like 900 size, and just go across the top like so. And you can set this to soft light or overlay. I'm going to go with overlay, and I'm just going to decrease the opacity to somewhere in the 20s. That's pretty good, and that just brightens up the top so we have some sort of light source, and I think that looks pretty good. That might make the text a little brighter as well, so if it does, you can always adjust the gradient on the text if it's like overwhelming, etc. Now let's go ahead and add some brushes around everything so it's not just so empty. So go to your bottom layer. You can go either above the noise here, this layer 15, or just go to the bottommost layer and start from there, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to create a new layer here, and I'm going to grab the brush tool. I'm going to stay on this soft brush, but I'm going to make the size like 10, and we're going to go over here to the brush settings. So if you don't have this tab here, you can just go to Window Brush like that, and let's go ahead and change some things up. So I'm going to uncheck transfer, uncheck smoothing, brush to tip, let's keep that size like that. Let's increase the spacing all the way, actually like close to all the way, something like that. Shape dynamics, go to size jitter, increase that all the way. Angle jitter doesn't really matter. I think that is really all we need to do. Check scattering, and then increase scattering all the way to 1000%. You can play with the count if you want. That's up to you. I leave it at 1, and that's about it. We can increase the size too if this is too small, but I think this will be perfect. And what we want to do is just go ahead and start clicking around, and you can see we get a bunch of different size dots, and this is just a good way to create particles. And I'm gonna go around and do this a little bit until I feel like there's enough. It's kind of like a starry particle effect, and don't try to put any of them anywhere special. Just click around, have no thought to it, just make it as random as possible, and boom, that is pretty good. I like that. And I think I'm going to leave this at 100% opacity. That kind of brings in some white around the banner, so there's not just white in the text and red everywhere else. That's just like a thing I like to do. But we can duplicate this, and that'll brighten it up. You can leave it like that if you want it brighter, but I like to transform it. So Command T, right click, flip it horizontal, bump up the size a little bit, increase it, and then set it to overlay, and that'll just create some more throughout that are more reddish pink or whatever color you're using. And you can decrease the opacity a little bit, and boom, cool. Now we have like a nice particle effect that looks pretty nice. Now let's go ahead and add a little more Plexus effect going on. So create a new layer, make sure you have white selected, go to your brush, and let's go to the Plexus brushes again and select one of them, and you're gonna just kind of put these randomly. So I'm gonna have one in the corner here, and these ones are all gonna be white, and I'm gonna have another set that are on overlay, like that are white and on overlay. So this is gonna be all on their own layer. So let's grab this one too. Actually, I'm gonna go up here and rotate this one using this little bit, and maybe make this like smaller, and we'll go like there, and let's change it again. Actually, we'll grab this guy, and that's pretty cool. Let's create a new layer now, and let's do the same thing. Let's try to mix it up a little bit. Let's grab this one. I'll have a small one like here, maybe a bigger one here. Let's rotate this one. Actually, we'll keep it the same. I think that'll look fine. Alright, and then let's grab one more. Not sure, we'll just grab this one, sure. And this one will be we'll go like that. Alright, let's go ahead and set that second one then to overlay, and that's pretty cool. I could have distributed those a little better, but I think that's alright. And that's basically all the design aspects. Now we can kind of change some colors and stuff and sort of color correct it. It's a very mild color correction that I used. But what I did was went and got levels, down here, and then I changed that. I changed the settings, that is, to the first number 8 and then the last number 246. That kind of just darkens it, makes it look a little nicer. And then I went ahead and went to gradient map, and you should have this default purplish blue to orange. You want to select that, set that to overlay, and just pop that on at 10%, and that'll kind of make things a little nicer too. And finally, you can go ahead and grab a hue and saturation. You can bump up the saturation too if you want it a little more bright. So you can see, like, you probably wouldn't want to do this too much. You can see it gets like a little too extreme, but a little bit won't hurt probably. And then you can also change the color to anything you want. You can see every color looks pretty good with this kind of style, since all the colors are pretty solid. But yeah guys, that's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like. If this video gets 100 likes, I'll be sure to put the Cinema 4D and Photoshop file in the description for you guys, so you guys can download them and use them. Be sure to subscribe for more tutorials. Follow me on Twitter at Qehzy. Add my Snapchat, which is Qehzy. Follow me on Instagram, which is That's Qehzy. You can see all the stuff I'm working on there. And hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace.